Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United versus Leeds. We're going to be looking at the day after a breakdown of how we approached this game and what we got right. Now, we did get a lot right because we won 5-1. The words of Bielsa translated, they were far superior than us. Interestingly though, look, there are things that I think are going to be very interesting as we go ahead. But like the Dwarves of Moria, if you're a Lord of the Rings fans, they just couldn't get out Leeds. And they couldn't. And I'm only going to use their back six as the blue bits here. But as you can see, they look at that. If Leeds have got the ball here, they can go there. They can try and get into here. But look, ultimately, Leeds don't want to hit long balls into Bamford, into this area. They want to pass the way through. They want to be it quick. But the reality is that McTominay was biting. Fred was biting. I mean, there was times where Fred got pulled out of position and they did attack our back four, but we were bitey in that midfield and it worked really, really well. But look at the average positions of the players if you want to. But more importantly for me, I think Pogba did tuck in. I think Bruno did play high. Greenwood was obviously moving around here and Dan James was tucking in and down that right-hand side. Ultimately, at times, we were almost like a 3-2-1 against them. You've got Greenwood and Bruno and James. Then you've got Pogba and McTominay pushing and Fred pushing forward as well as the fullbacks. And look, I said it before, 75,000 fans at Old Trafford is going to make a huge amount of difference. And Leeds, I think they were, rabbit in the headlights, whatever you want to call it, lambs to the slaughter. I think they were just overwhelmed. And we saw it yesterday. Look, Liverpool won away and Brighton won away. We've had 8 games and we've had 6 home wins. We've had no draws. Either a team's been superior, if they're the away team, or the home team has been superior. And I think home support has been overwhelming in this opening weekend in the Premier League. And look, maybe we'll get that today with Spurs and City, but don't underestimate the crowd. The players fed off the crowd for United, and the players were feared by the crowd for Leeds. But a lot of it also goes down to the tactics. We pressed them high up the pitch because, interestingly, it was basically 50-50 on possession. And shots-wise, we had 16, they had 10. 8 on target for us, 3 on target for them. I don't remember Leeds causing us many problems. There was that chance on the front post that McTominay headed away. It wasn't even a shot on goal. I remember De Gea palming one away. There was that chance for Rafinha late on that they probably should have scored. But in no ways was this a misrepresentation. It was clinical from Manchester United. The finishing was absolutely bang on. I've watched those goals a few times, like many of you, and it's clean from Fred's finish to Bruno's finishing, Greenwood's finish. Absolutely fantastic. Just clean connections on the ball, looking like players that are sharp and ready, and also looking like players that have been on the training ground enjoying themselves at a high intense rate. Because the one thing I would say about United yesterday was it was high intensity. And as I said, when you look at the way we played, Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, very mobile. They're competitive fullbacks. They're very, very difficult to get the best of, whether you're a right winger or a left winger, and they're going to push you back. Lindelof, Maguire actually played a higher line, and at times De Gea was on the edge of his box for that ball over the top. So we were never susceptible to Bamford over the top, who's not particularly quick anyway. And I think that was the key for me. I think Solskjaer looked at Leeds and went, are they going to hurt us with the ball over the top? No. There was a couple of occasions where Bamford was in a foot race with Maguire and Lindelof, and they're just about quick enough to go with him. If you're up against someone like a Salah or a Son or someone like that who's going to make the run in behind like they do, you're going to have to drop that line. But we allowed us to play a higher line, which allowed us to push McTominay forward, which allowed us to leave Pogba further forward, and obviously Bruno further forward. And we basically just suffocated Leeds. They couldn't get out. Leeds, as I say, they want to pass their way through. I've only gone with their back six there. I think they did miss Calvin Phillips, but then the reason the rest of their players are invisible is because they couldn't get through us. They couldn't get through us regularly enough. They had enough of the ball, but they couldn't do it because United suffocated them. And Ollie basically did what he did to them against Leeds last Christmas, where we just bombarded them. They go man-to-man, and I think we fancied ourselves in their man-to-man situations. And look, taking nothing away from Ayling, it was a fantastic goal, but it was if he hit that 10 times, I don't think he'd beat De Gea 10 times. I don't. I mean, he'd have to hit it like that 10 times because De Gea's dive is perfect. Maguire's body shape is perfect. He's put it in the one area, the keeper, and Maguire can't block it. And it was a good finish. But Bielsa was asked about this. What happened with Leeds after that? And United just overwhelmed them again. They didn't let their heads drop. I think that was really the key thing from United today. Was mentality was absolutely spot on. The desire, the concentration, and the passion was absolutely spot on, because we did let a goal in just after half time, and for many teams the heads will drop because you've just had the team talk, you're 1-0 up, you have the team talk, and then the big needle into the balloon and it pops. What did we do? We scored 2 very good quick goals in quick succession, and we just overwhelmed them again. And we haven't had that at Old Trafford, obviously, because of COVID, but that crowd was just, it was going to respond. It was up for it. The Varane thing, the crowd would have been up for it anyway. I think it's almost a disservice to the United crowd to say they were pumped up because of the Varane signing. They were pumped up anyway. It's opening day of the season, 75,000 fans in the ground, and they haven't been in there for a year. They were pumped up anyway. I don't think the Varane thing did the crowd any harm. It probably gave them a little bit more, but they were up for it anyway. And it was just a cauldron of noise, a cauldron of atmosphere. The players, I think, will wake up today and be over, just so happy with what it was like to do that. And obviously we're going to get the flip side of that coin. We're going to have to play at grounds where the crowd is going to be, Leeds, whenever we're playing them, that crowd will be the other way. But I just think the crowd had such a massive part to do with it. And as I said, I thought the way that we pressed them high up the pitch and overwhelmed them. The other thing for me was the tempo. Even Fred was getting the ball and knocking it into these areas, quickly getting it into Pogba. McTominay, that first time ball basically into Pogba where he flicked Bruno in and he scored. That's something that last season you'd see McTominay back here, the ball here, not a lot going on. Oh, I'll go that way. Little pivot, sideway past to Fred, back to him, back to him, back to him, back to him. Slow tempo, Netflix and chill. Yesterday, it was like a hot potato. I don't want that ball. Bang. I don't want it either. Bang. I don't want it. I don't want it. Bang, 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 bang. We're in. And then that's so hard to defend against. Tempo is a word that gets overused, but it's so hard to defend against when you move the ball quickly. And I was watching Liverpool yesterday, and at times they're moving Norwich around all over the place. They don't know where they are. They're like a drunk on a waltzer. They're just all over the place, coordination-wise. And we saw that with United, though. And also, what I would say is that, look, Leeds play very open. If you get the ball with Leeds, you will find the space. They go man for man, so there's always space to pass and move. And United did it very, very well. Of course, you play a team that's better organised. The fear is that this midfield, as we know, isn't good enough. That McTominay has to drop deeper because we get overwhelmed, which means Pogba drops deeper and suddenly you're isolated and Bruno's dropping deeper. Those are problems to come. There definitely are problems to come. But for now, I think it's fair to say that the higher line, Fred's left with McTominay pushing forward more, Pogba tucking in, Bruno pushing on the last man. You'd expect to see more of this against Southampton. Southampton will probably be better organised defensively than Leeds because they won't play so open. But I don't think they've got the quality that Leeds have got. But I think that the one thing I wanted to bring in was about the midfield, because we talk about the midfield, and ultimately, let's just say Lindelof's out of the team. We put him on the bench and we bring Rafael Varane in, which is what I would do for that game. And we take Dan James out and we put Jadon Sancho in. That's a very, very good team, isn't it? It's a very, very good team. But you still got that midfield problem. I just wonder across the course of the season whether this quality in the back four and this quality in the front four compensates for not terrible players, but they're not. Fred and McTominay, it's not Jorginho and Mount, is it? It's not De Bruyne and Rodri. It's not. That's not the way it is. They're not midfielders that I think you can win the title with. I said this about Maguire and Lindelof last season. But is there a case to be said that back four can win a title, that back five can win a title, that front four can win a title? Is there any way, with all those quality players that are title worthy, those two people can be carried along? Or not even carried along, they can do a job sufficient enough? I would say no, because I think the midfield is the engine room of any team, and if you're going to win a title, surely you need a midfield that's title worthy, and I don't think those two players are. I don't think there's much of a build out. I think you can pull Pogba into here, and you could put Rashford on the left when he's fit, but ultimately, McTominay wasn't the problem yesterday. I think this is the problem. This person who protects the back four sufficiently and moves the ball quick enough for everybody else. I think McTominay was the problem yesterday. I think Pogba can do that role better. I think Van der Beek could do the role better. But it's this role. That's the one for me. That's the role I don't think is going to change this season. And that's the one for me because it's so important. I've said it so many times before. Michael Carrick used to just run that midfield like Jorginho does for Chelsea. The conductor. I just don't believe Fred can conduct this midfield in the way that we need him to. He can play a pass, but it's almost like you want to stand up and applaud the pass because it's like, oh, it's actually made its destination. And it did a few times yesterday. But we saw it in the first half. Fred bombed on in this area here. And his first touch went to the Leeds player. He followed it in. Leeds moved it very quickly. And then they were running at our back four and Fred was out of position. Ultimately, it was a good ball into his feet where he should have carried it, knocked it in there, and we're on the attack. He gets it here. His first touch is terrible. He chases it, and he's out of position, and the ball's moved into these areas. And as we know with Fred, that's his problem. His passing and his first touch are not that you need for a conductor. But look, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch over the next couple of weeks to see if we do anything in the transfer window, and that's going to be something very interesting through the season because I think it's our weak link. And that doesn't mean that Fred's not going to have man of the match performances, by the way. I don't think Fred is useless. I think these two are useless, and we saw that last year. This holding midfield too, just a waste of time, useless. What we saw yesterday is that McTominay in a box-to-box role is McTominay. And Fred on his own is Fred. It's not McFred anymore. It's the death of McFred. And that's what we wanted to see. McFred was always two people doing one person's job. Yesterday, it wasn't McFred. I don't really think it's even fair to say that was McFred. That was McTominay in a more box-to-box role and Fred in a holding midfield role. And what's going to be interesting this season is that going to be the reason we don't win anything? Is he good enough? I think he will have good games, but is he good enough? Let's wait and see. But look, overall, tactically, in a sentence, we overwhelmed Leeds. We pushed them high up the pitch and they couldn't get out. There was no passing lanes for Leeds. They had to resort to this, but Bielsa didn't really want to do that, and it wouldn't have worked anyway. We overwhelmed them, and this is the thing with Leeds. This is why I like to watch Leeds. They're never going to be in the top four because every now and again teams do what United do to them, and it tends to be the top four teams overwhelm Leeds because we know how they're going to play. They're an entertaining team to watch because you never know whether they're going to win, whether they're going to get battered. And we battered them yesterday. Thanks everyone for watching. Get your thoughts in below. We've got the 8 o'clock show to come. Smash a like on the video. Just something a little bit different for the new season where we can look back at the game and look at how we did and what we did right and what we might need to do in the games to come. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe. I'll speak to you all soon.